Making this dusty rock our home wasn't easy, but the promise that led us across the void was freedom, something my family's bled for many times. Now Hale's cultists have captured the terraformer, the one thing keeping our atmosphere stable, and plan to destroy it. If the terraformer goes down, we go down with it.
The Red Faction IP was originally released back in 2001 for Windows, PC, and PlayStation 2. The game actually did something different, and it's a trait that I personally came to love. It was destructible environments. I don't recall many other third-person or first-person games that actually were doing this at the time. Everything was destructible, including the ground. They called this technology Geomod. The creators of the game Violation went on to make several other more installments of the Red Faction series. Red Faction 2, Red Faction Guerrilla, and the game I'm actually reviewing here today, Red Faction Armageddon. Violation recently announced that they're actually canceling the Red Faction series. It's too bad, really, as people like myself who actually played these games from day one fell in love with its destructible environment and story. The game didn't fare so well on actual sales, and we all know that these days it's not about the game, it's more about deadlines and how much money they make off it. It's hard to understand why this game did so bad in sales to actually have to cancel the franchise. The only thing that's actually missing from Geomod is destructible ground, but they tend to make up for it with all the destructible environment that you're going to run into. I'll talk more about that later in my review.
Marauder cultists led by Hale himself have overrun the terraform. Red Faction Command speculates that Adam Hale is planning a Pyrrhic victory. See that nasty storm front ahead? Hale's already monkey wrenched one of the atmosphere generators.
It's a Pyrrhic victory.
You're my specialist.
Darius Mason, 3rd Engineers.
Mason. Should have figured you'd volunteer for this one.
Move! You're on point! Secure the perimeter! All clear, Coop!
The story takes place in the future, where mankind has been terraforming Mars and mining its minerals. The terraformer replaced the atmosphere with a breathable air for humans and also made an otherwise hospitable environment livable. Marauders, which are scientists and miners from years past, are still present on Mars. Throughout the different Red Faction games, as new colonists arrived on Mars, a racist divide formed between the two, which separated new settlers from old settlers.
Just past them near the main reactor.
Only friendlies in this section are you and me, soldier.
As tempers reach a boiling point, things go south and the atmosphere generator gets destroyed, forcing everybody to flee back underground to avoid the dangerous atmosphere that would soon fall upon Mars. This is almost irony, as the first Red Faction was all underground, as Mars wasn't quite ready for life above the surface.
Sergeant Winters claimed the mission's failure was not my own.
Hey, this old arc welder still work? Guess so.
The story does drop a funny joke or comment from time to time, lifting up the game's otherwise dark atmosphere. The character you play is a descendant of the Mason family, which took part in the other Red Factions. Again, you're dragged back into combat to defend the colony on Mars.
We'll get you on the next...
Contact! They're everywhere! Mayday! Mayday!
Without giving too much away from the story, once all the colonists are underground, a mysterious plague will spread throughout the miners. Your job will be to stop and find out what caused it.
Significant odds that both colony and cholera have reached termination.
Thanks for keeping the glass half full.
I have no glass.
Yeah, no shit. Keep trying.
There are people still missing.
We're searching for survivors now, but we need to hold the perimeter.
Food and water's running out.
We can't resupply until the threat's over.
What about the damaged generators?
We're short of men. We've suffered our own casualties here.
Look at what those things did. How could this have happened?
still trying to figure that out myself.
Eliminate the effect.
Not a whole lot's changed from its counterparts when it comes to gameplay. You'll have your trusty hammer and things that blow shit up. The controls are solid with very little to complain about. You have a lock-on system that is really important because things can get really dark and you'll need to be able to lock on to enemies. You might find yourself lost and confused when you get into serious battles with multiple enemies at one time. And if you lose your bearings, they have a system set up that once you push select on a wired Xbox controller, your destination is lit up for you and you can get yourself back on track. I haven't played this game with a keyboard and mouse as I find a controller better for third-person shooters, but that's just personal preference.
They definitely...
If you find yourself getting caught in debris, you can take out your hammer and start mashing shit up to clear a path. You'll also have the ability to jump over objects. Your life meter will regenerate if you stop taking damage for a bit. This seems to be a common way of doing life bars these days. Destroying buildings and objects will release a cog that you can pick up to score money, as I will call it, to buy upgrades. You'll find stations set up where you can access these upgrades. You'll be able to buy things like upgraded ammo for your weapons or more health. There's quite a bit to choose from, and as you progress through the game, you'll unlock other unique items to purchase. The weapons in this game are actually a big like for me. I couldn't have made better weapons myself. Each is different from one another, and I think it's the added polish that the sound engineers put towards the sound of the guns. They sound amazing, and my favorite being the laser gun. So here are a rundown of some of the weapons you'll be getting. There's also a mech armor for you to get into, and I'm telling you, it sure is a hell of a lot of fun to be blowing the f*** out of everything you see. It almost seems too powerful.
The initial attacks began near Bradbury Canyon. Marauders were behind this. I knew it. There's a recon patrol headed out to the surface. We'll have proper intel soon enough.
On top of all the weapons you're going to get, you'll also get a nanogun that repairs things you destroy. It's a very distinctive attribute to this game and used a lot throughout Armageddon. You'll be repairing bridges, generators, and causeways that accidentally got destroyed during your combat with enemies.
Purification plant is just ahead. I can't go much further.
Corporal? Corporal, if you can hear me, just stay where you are. I'm coming for you.
With gameplay being as good as this, how are the graphics? Well, I'm glad you asked. This game is on par with next generation graphics, and I'm only using last year's model of a 460 GTX. I'm able to keep everything on bust, minus anti-lacing, running at 1080p. Textures are great, the engine holds up great even with multiple enemies on the screen while a building is collapsing. Particles and gun effects are polished, and to be honest, I'm sitting here wondering why this game actually got cancelled. The music in this game, and not the guns or the explosions, but the actual music works for the game. I didn't really hear anything that stood out, but as I said, what they have in place is fine. If there were a couple things I could say negative about the game, it will be that I wish you could actually still blow holes in the ground. But I understand the technical difficulty in designing a game level with this in place. That being said, not having this ability doesn't take away from the game. The only other negative thing I can say is the game seems to be a little bit linear, but there are a whole lot of other open world games I can play if I want an open world experience. I have to say, I'm really enjoying playing this game, and if you haven't given it a chance, you really should. It's available on PC 360 and PS3 for $49 and $59. I don't find this game like any other shooter. It has just too much to offer and really separates itself from the competition. Red Faction Armageddon is a great game, and should be given a second chance if you passed on it because of other reviews. So with that, I'm going to end this review here and go finish the game. And stay tuned next week for another review. Dormanty Reigns signing off.
To rock our home wasn't easy, but the promise that led us across the void was freedom. Something my family's bled for many times. Now Hale's cultists have captured the terraformer, the one thing keeping our atmosphere stable, and plan to destroy it. If the terraformer goes down, we go down with it.